Silent revenge through success. I've spent most of my life telling other people's stories. Stories of those who've suffered betrayal, faced humiliation, or found redemption in the face of adversity. I was always the observer, the one who shared their struggles, their silent victories, without ever revealing much of my own. But now, it's time to share my own story. It's not the loudest one, and it doesn't come with the dramatic confrontation. It's quieter, deeper, and it's a story that may resonate with many who've been quietly pushed aside and told they weren't good enough. I've always been someone who moves slowly, in life, in work, everywhere. I wasn't the type to be called first or best, but I always did my job honestly. A postal worker. That's what I was, and no matter how much they tried to poke fun at me, I was proud of it. My job was important, delivering letters, maintaining order in the chaos, building bridges between people. I liked it, but whenever it came to my family, I was different. I was a failure in their eyes. My wife, of course, never said it outright, but I could see it. In her gaze, in her words, when someone in the family would bring up my plans for the future. She always said I needed something more. A house, a car, a business, something they could admire. But not a postal job, not these little things. The kids, well, they weren't any better. They loved me, of course, but they always thought I wasn't advanced enough. We'd take long weekend trips together, but hardly any of them would ask how my day went or how I was doing. When I got stuck in my way, they didn't understand. They had long since gone off to college, moved to cities with more opportunities. And I stayed here, quietly working, trying to make ends meet. They knew I lacked something, and they constantly reminded me of it. My daughter once said she dreamed of a life where she didn't have to worry about money. At a family dinner, in front of everyone, my brother said, "Well, at least Frank doesn't have to worry about managing all that stress, just delivering letters, right, Frank?" It wasn't supportive. It was just a reminder of my place in their eyes. It took years before I started to realize how much they were hiding. There was nothing wrong with staying where I was. I could have worked forever, and that would have been fine. But the more I learned, the more I felt deceived. That same brother who mocked me was actually using me. I didn't know he had secretly taken part of the family inheritance, money that was supposed to be split evenly. He always told me, "We're in this together," and I could count on him for help. But when I started looking into the documents, just because I got curious, I found out I was missing a huge sum. And the money didn't disappear due to incompetence. No, it was being used elsewhere, and my brother was involved. My daughter wasn't as honest as I'd thought either. When I realized she'd set herself up to exploit me for her gain, I felt a chill. She thought I was just an old man who didn't understand how the world worked. But I did. I didn't want to scream at them. I didn't want to tear apart the family that I cared about. I didn't want to see their eyes filled with disappointment when they realized I knew the truth. I didn't know what to do. But I knew one thing for sure. Something had to change. And it wouldn't be a shout or a fight. I sat in silence. No one could read me. I wasn't going to confront them directly, but I made an internal decision. This silence, however, was a form of defiance. I resolved that I wouldn't let them see the hurt, nor would I allow their opinions to define me. I've always been someone who does, not talks. And I decided that I'd work harder than ever, not talk. I'd rebuild everything they'd taken from me. I wouldn't ask for their help. I'd become someone they never expected to see. It was tough. Every day I woke up earlier than before. I took on extra hours at the post office, picked up odd jobs whenever I could. I lived frugally, paying off debts and slowly regaining some financial stability. Every month, I watched money slip away, and hope seemed to vanish. But I kept working. Postal worker, small side jobs, building something on my own. Every evening I checked on my little business. Yes, I started a small courier service because I knew logistics well. It was my first step into a new life. I couldn't afford big advertising or any loud start, but over time, my business began to yield results. I didn't become rich, but I started to see the results. I told myself it just took time to win, to endure. Everything happened gradually. I wasn't looking for shortcuts. Each day gave me more confidence, and my children started noticing. My brother began seeing me differently. He didn't say anything directly, but I saw the confusion in his eyes. And that was an important step for me. One day, they saw how I succeeded. I wasn't the loser they had once thought. My small business had grown successful enough that I could open a new branch. I signed contracts with several large stores, and people started calling, offering partnerships. My kids, who once mocked me, now sought my advice on investments and personal growth. My brother, who had taken advantage of me, was left speechless when I subtly revealed my financial progress. But I didn't gloat. I didn't need to say anything. The success itself was the answer. I didn't need to expose their lies. They did it themselves. My life now was my own, and no one could take that from me. I didn't need revenge. I just needed to live. And now, finally, I could. My relationships with them changed. I didn't fight them, but I set boundaries. I no longer needed their approval. I lived my life on my terms. I didn't seek vengeance. I just stopped letting their opinions control my life. I used to share stories about others, but now this is my story. And I know there are many people out there who feel like I once did, overlooked, underestimated, or pushed aside. This is for you. Keep going. Your quiet victories are the ones that matter the most. And remember, you don't need anyone's approval to succeed. You just need yourself. If this story resonated with you, take a moment to reflect. What quiet victories can you celebrate in your life? And how will you define your success?